Hey guys, this week, Ruth and I are going to be talking on the topic of our eating disorder diagnosis, um, and how things have changed between, the time we got diagnosed and now. We're both still not recovered and behaviour free. Um, so I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa, the restrictive subtype. Um, and even though my diagnosis has remained stable over time, um, a lot of things have changed with my behaviours and my moods and uh, yeah, physically, mentally, um, and the best way to sort of put that all in a nutshell about how things have changed over time is that in the beginning, my mood was terrible. It was absolutely, I was so depressed, not necessarily suicidal, not actively thinking of ways to end my life, but I wanted to die. I thought life was not worth living and that things were bleak, and it was such a dark and miserable time compared to now. Things are so much better in my head, my mood's better. There has been a bit of a shift between depression being the major problem to anxiety. Um, but in my head, I am so much freer than I was in the beginning. Um, and the irony, though, is that physically, um, I used to be a lot better, and it hasn't sort of followed as a natural progression to my thoughts and feelings coming right that physically I'm a lot better. When I was diagnosed, my weight was low. Um, I was within the diagnostic criteria for anorexia nervosa. So it was low, but it wasn't anything startling really to anybody. I guess I'd lost the weight quite slowly over a long period of time, and it wasn't critical. I was having very few physical symptoms from being at a low weight. Um, and so the diagnosis was kind of where it stopped, really, where, there wasn't any really prescribed treatment or anything like that. There was no push really to change my behaviours. I think I was referred to see a psychiatrist, and he diagnosed me with post traumatic stress disorder, so referred me onto a counsellor to deal with that stuff. Um, and I kind of lived in that state for a lot of years. My weight was low, but not really, really dangerous. I was relatively restrictive with my eating, but I could still do really normal things. I was a student and living quite, the student lifestyle with friends a lot, lots of social things with food, alcohol. But I guess because what I was eating every day was quite a small amount and quite restrictive, everything sort of just seemed to balance out by itself, and I didn't have to really try. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I wasn't trying to gain, um, because nothing in my life was really being affected. There was no reason. I knew it wasn't healthy, but a lot of things that people do, you can accept that they're not the healthiest way you can live. Um, and then things changed, and it wasn't one major thing that happened. It was kind of just a progression, really, and a bunch of bad stuff did happen all at the same time. A friend died, another friend moved away. I was quite unsettled with moving house, and things had gone bad with the therapist I had been seeing. Um, and because the emotion was so much to deal with, I completely overcommitted myself. I was studying full time and working two part-time jobs. One job was very physically demanding as a dance teacher. I was also playing competitive soccer and in a musical show. So there was lots of rehearsals. I'd basically planned out my life that I could do everything I needed to get to the end of the year or whatever it was, um, as long as I had this window that was 3 hours long for sleep or whatever, every night. So it was ridiculous. And at that stage, I started eating less and less. Um, so it was the perfect recipe for disaster. At one stage, I was eating about a half an apple a day, and that was over a few months, and things got really bad physically. I ended up in the hospital with some cardiac problems. My heart wasn't beating properly and was even stopping for some short periods, and then for whatever reason, I just went even further downhill from there, and I stopped eating and drinking completely for about a week. Um, and everything everything was awful. I don't even really remember that time very much. That was my worst period, really. Um, and from then, I've sort of been in periods of recovery. I was tube fed initially, and got up to a better weight, but I still struggled with eating enough to maintain that weight. Um, and I'm still kind of in that place where my eating is still terrible. Is still, if I had to rely on that, I wouldn't be here. And I've seen that a couple of times. But now I've got a tube in my stomach that I get most of my nutrition through. I get about 1,000 calories a day through the tube, um, and sometimes I eat and sometimes I don't. Um, and the change in my life between when I was first diagnosed and now is incredible. My life is not normal now. It is not. I don't go out for friends to eat. I can't. Well, I was working full time up until the beginning of this year when um, things weren't good again, and I had to finish work. So I'm not working. I'm not socializing the same. I can't eat and get by. Physically, I feel quite crap. And physically, my weight is lower, quite significantly lower than when I was first diagnosed. Um, and for the last, since that initial crash, I've really sort of been in and out of hospital, being tube fed and then going back down, and then so it hasn't been good at all. Um, I mean, in my head, things are good. Things are really good. I'm really recovery focused. It's what I want. I mean, it seems very far removed from where I am, but it's what I want. It's what I wish for, and I'm working really hard in therapy to deal with the issues that are keeping me here, really. And I want to live. I know that life is good. I've seen that. I feel more positive and more motivated than ever before. Um, so it is kind of strange that things don't marry up, that the improvement in my head hasn't created a huge improvement in my life. But I think that's only yet. I'm hopeful that it will. Um, yeah, so that's my story really. I'll be looking forward to watching Ruth's video when she puts it up. Thanks for watching. Bye.